So, having said that,
yes,
we got into the beginning of the interface revival.
we did.
And like we have witnessed here at Knobcon with Ashen Sound Machines, the next generation of the Hydrasynth, talking about a refinement of interface.
Certainly.
Glenn, of course, we recognized looking at that the implication of the Ensoniq as far as the whole
block diagram
design, exactly being able to look at the sound path mapped out right in front of you.
And click to your filter and click to your
click
envelope.
That, and it just brings it up the surface so you can work with that. Wonderful way to have a minimal interface that allows you to still very intuitively navigate the complexity of that instrument.
You aren't scrolling to cutoff. You go to your filter, you click on your filter, and then it's there. And so you have maybe an extra half step from having physical knobs for everything. Because you, in your mind, say, I need to change the cutoff. That's in the filter section of this panel. Well, you click to get to the filter section of that panel. And then your macro knobs, or whatever you want to call them, are now pointed to the parameters you care about.
Exactly.
So I think that's a very smart interface.
No, it absolutely. And Glenn, of course, highlighted the fact that he technically wasn't inspired by Ensoniq, but he was inspired by the Oberheim expander.
But it's close to the Oberheim expander, which I did on.
Oh, yeah, right.
So the expander, you hit the oscillator, hit your filter, you got your 6 knobs here. So it's really, for me, it was a nod to the expander, but then you look at an Ensoniq, it's like, oh, that looks just like the Ensoniq.
There it is.
And, but there were, he said enough people had said the exact same thing about the Ensoniq influence that he recognizes that there's definitely
that common
an
thread.
acknowledge there. But that just goes to show you once again, Ensoniq realized there needed to be
a better
an
way.
interface revival there. And so we now have come into the 2020s, and we have these instruments that are trying to do the best job that they can to get close to that one knob per function, but without overwhelming you.
Right.
I have a Summit, which I've expressed my love about, but it's closer to the one knob per function. The Matrix Brute, closer to a one knob per function. Those are expensive because of all of those knobs.
Right.
You know, you look at a Summit. You know, the Summit sells for $2,200. The new Deluxe Hydrasynth lists for $1,799. The Deluxe Hydrasynth has basically the same number of voices as the Summit, has very similar capabilities overall. The same polyphony, the same 2 engines. I'm saying same, not obviously not the same, but the fact is that
there's a pretty direct analog.
There is a comparison there in their abilities, but very different approaches to interface. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other,
but they're different.
They're very different. One of them is much closer to knob per function, and one has chosen to use this architecture layout that allows you to drill down to what you're doing. And I have to say that between the two of them, they are both very intuitive, lightning fast, and exquisite interfaces.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I had to nod one way or the other, as much as I love knob per function, there is an elegance to what Glenn and Dominic did with the Hydrasynth that deserves to be
recognized.
Really put on a pedestal there. Yeah. And that is what we need going forward. Is if it's too expensive to put that many knobs, that many encoders, sliders, whatever on there, is there a way that you can leverage intuitive, engaging interfaces that can get you most of the way there, but leverage something clever like that, where you've got the interface and you drill down to whatever you're looking for. I mean, something as subtle as the fact that Glenn was pointing out, if you've got a lot of features under a particular option, instead of tapping it, you know that there's going to be a second page to that. You just tap it twice and it goes to the second page.
Right.
That is a really... That is
fundamentally a good idea.
It's a very good idea, and it's obviously been implemented by somebody who knows what programming means.
Yes, and somebody who said, you know what, we should be a little quicker to get there.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
There's probably a way for us to make this faster and better, because they're sitting down and thinking, how can this be
how
a
can we
better
make it better?
interface.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
how can we minimize that distance between where I am now and where I want to be? And that is really not much more difficult than tapping once.
Yeah.
And it's certainly easier than tapping there and then going over there and tapping
yeah.
one down. Not that, oh my gosh,
I
you
have to
made
go
me
page
tap
down.
one more button to hit page down. It's
But
the
it's
end
faster,
of the world.
and your finger, your finger's already going to be there.
Yeah, if your finger's already there and you know where you're going, hitting that second tap makes all sorts of sense.
Yes, it does. Great
but,
interface, yeah.
But that, an elegant designed interface, elegantly designed.
Clearly a lot of intention, clearly a lot of thought.
Foresight and a recognition. And you look at Glenn. Glenn has been in the business for 20 years.
I should talk
I
to him
shouldn't say
more.
any, I don't want to make him seem old
No.
because he's awesome. And But the fact is that this man has experience. And you can tell, he loves the instruments. He is not just a guy that says, well, I think we can make more money if we do this.
Mm-hmm.
No. In fact, with the last revision, the deluxe, he has finally made that version of the Hydrasynth that he wants to own, that he wants to play. It's the right number of keys. He wanted a 73. We did an interview with him back in 2019 where we asked him, why didn't you make a 61 key? There's so many people want a 61 key.
So whether it's a MIDI controller or whatever, a 61 sells about 1/6 the number of 49.
He said, and if I was going to make a longer one.
Personally, my favorite is a 73, 76 note key.
Well, he just did.
Lo and behold, here we are.
But he was emphasizing the fact that if this instrument was going to be successful, he had to at least make the first incarnation one that was going to appeal to the most amount of musicians that were going to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And by it being successful, he was able to fund the instrument that he really wanted to the one for him.
And good for him.
Which he knew that other people would appreciate too.
Yeah.
But he knew it would be a harder sell first out of the gates.
Absolutely.
And that is a combination of foresight, vision, understanding your market, but also understanding from a musician's standpoint what people want, what people need, and what people will buy. And it hitting that price point too. I mean, you look at what the Hydrasynth does, the original keyboard, for the price that it is, and you're like, that's
extraordinary.
That's a lot of bang for the buck.
Yes, it is.
And it got into a lot of people's studios because of that. And it basically sold itself at that point.
Yeah.
So that's what we need.
People focused on interface.
People that understand the potential of the engines to make them easy through a good interface.
Yeah.
And, that approach it from a true musician's perspective.
Yeah.
So.
Well said. Very well said.